thought I'd experiment sharing the process of this one a little bit more vlog style, rather than just the vertical bits that I've been filming every now and again. So this is the first stage that I'm at. This is the initial sketch. This dream was actually from last night. Harrison was painting behind the door and he couldn't get the paint to stick, and I was collecting it. It was like blues and yellows in like big clumpy bits he was putting on with a palette knife. And then behind in the window there was like giant gargantuan alien legs that were walking along making a shadow, and they were casting this shadow on the painting, and he loved it, and he was like trying to capture the shadows on his painting, and I was like peering around the window trying to figure out what on earth was going on. It reminded me of you've probably seen Signs, you know, when they're walking past that like birthday scene, and it's like ugh. So two massive alien legs. And then there was a girl that went and fetched loads of cardboard, massive pieces of cardboard, to try and replicate the shadows after the alien legs have gone. I'm calling them alien legs, they could have been whatever, I don't know. Alien maybe just in sentiment and not in extraterrestrialness, which I think I fully believe that aliens exist now. After listening to the recent podcast with the guy with the, I forgot his name, Harrison knows his name. He was on Joe Rogan with the remote viewing. It was very interesting. Yeah, so I have mapped this out as much as I can, just with the colours that I had from this one remaining, which I'm happy with now. The next stage is to understand the light in this thing. There's definite light that's happening where I've marked orange for a second. Shadow, 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 shadow on his painting. But I also want table shadow as well on these, and probably human figure shadow. I'm not necessarily calling this guy, me, a human. He looks more like a worm. So that's the next stage, and these colours are just temporary. I'm probably going to, I don't know, a bit blues in this one, I think. They generally have a sense of colour to them. This one was just this yellow band, like I knew it wanted to be yellow and everything else fell into place, so this one is telling me blue. So when it tells you it's something, you just listen. That's all you got to do. I am back. It's been a few days since the last one, and I have done a little bit. This guy that I said looked like a worm. I think it's looking pretty dope. I do really like the texture or the flow of these brush marks, this snaky back with these strands of hair. I moved his hand as well. I thought it looked very more peering over the table with this hand on, or the hand on this side. I've literally just thought that this shadow would be cool if it came over his hand, so that's what I was just playing with. You know, normally, like if there's light being cast, we like to touch the light, but I quite like the idea of the shadow, him reaching out and touching the shadow, because he loves it so much that it's on his painting, is trying to hold it. And then this bit here, so in the dream, these alien legs, which I'm just going to refer to them as, are more shapes than anything. I think they need some kind of movement or a texture through them. You know, like in this last one where I had the old futurism thing of having the different, you know, past, present, future, or whatever moments in the same painting. I don't know whether there needs to be some movement through, you know, the movement in the marks, or yeah, it just feels like it wants to be moving, and get that to look like it's casting this shadow. I know it's hard to represent that literally, in a sense of, you know, the physics of how that would work. When I'm painting the window that's in this space over here, flat. So I'm already distorted and breaking reality anyway. This doorway is somewhere in this thing. There's loads of perspective. So it's just getting that to work visually as much as I can. Which might be through colour, you know, get these colours more similar. That blue. But I see it being dark, more shadow than anything else. So that's where my brain is at the minute. This guy's looking cool. I gave him like a religious saint glow hair, which I will give him more of, like he's being hit by the shadow of God. I don't know if that's a thing. Just sounds like it should be. And then I'm playing with the idea of something on this table. It feels like there needs to be something on there. And there's a lot of space that's the same colour. Now there is kind of in these ones, but the presence of everything is very, very different. Or at the minute it feels different anyway. So I'm going to carry on going, painting, filling layer, and yeah, it turned a bit green since the last time I showed you. This is where we're at. This guy's outfit's going to probably change colour. His hand's changed as well, but I don't really like this colour at the minute either. So yeah, I think I remember saying that I do remember saying that this thing needed some movement or texture. I think it might actually apply to the whole painting. So this guy I'm happy with, I think he looks dope. I really like all of him. So I was playing around with the hand yesterday, let me get my chair. Playing around with the hand yesterday, and yeah, I think that might need something. Feels a bit plump. Inappropriately plump. I don't mind a plump hand, just inappropriately plump. And I'm starting to sort the colours out, as you can see. I think it's looking quite nice. But there's just something about this, and yeah. So I'm gonna figure that out. And he's managed to like remain angular whilst having some flow to him. I think this painting obviously is quite angular, so I think that's why he's working, and this guy is too flowy, too bendy and poofy. What am I going to do now? And I've been drawing in white, as you can see, which I don't normally do, so that's a first. I rarely use the white, the black. The browns are always last to be used. Greys and anything shiny are all left. But these two used brown, a dark brown outline. I think it might be a Van Dyke brown. But I think the reason I was using brown in those is because of the paint that I made playing a big part in it being that brown colour. You can see this, as this is drying, the texture on it. That's cool. But that went through 3 reworks, so there's 3 paintings on 3 coats. She's wearing 3 coats. So yeah, this is it will end up as good as those. It's just I'm just trying to figure out and share my thoughts in the actual moment of doing them. I think this is the first painting as well where I have a painting in the painting. And this canvas will end up have sides to it and things. And all I really remember about that was the yellow ochre and the blue lumps of paint that were on it, which I think have set the tone of the colour of everything. They're like the constant. And I also need to figure out this figure up here as well. Quite like its ambiguity at the minute. But I think it might play well if there's something between. You can see, can't you? You can see these two have got a. So if there's a figure that was more seeping out of this door a little bit, I think that might work quite well, like stepping into that little bit of a space. And after I've started to try and figure out whether this is a bowl or a flower or something, that's what's always on the table anyway, but just something. But I don't want it to become another figure, another actor in this painting. I think that 2 plus the little one over there which referenced, I think that will be enough. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to, and I've drawn the window framing look a little bit, just with the pastel, but you can see that that's changed the thing completely, because it's separating us from that shape, which I think is interesting. But I will make that a whitish frame. Yeah, so I think I'm going to redraw some of this guy. Kind of let that thing just flow a bit and see what happens. I think I've figured it out already, just with those things. I think this hand needs to be moved. You'll notice from these other things, limb length is free game for how long things need to be, but I'm just thinking about how things look all the time in relation to it being a good painting and the flow of it. But yeah, I think that hand needs to come in. Now I'll leave this space here, which will be a better space if that was white. I'll paint over that and you can see, and then I will colour match it if I need to afterwards more accurately. I do sometimes like leaving the remnants of like the previous versions of the painting there. I think it's interesting. And then I might bring this shape further down. I think it needs to be big enough if it's going to go over his hand. It doesn't want to be this skinny here. That big. The last clips I showed you were from last night, and I was just about to talk through what I was thinking before starting paint again. But I thought we'd go and find the name of that podcast that I referenced in like the first video, and it was Hal Puthoff, Puthoff. Yeah, the one where I was on about aliens and remote viewing. I would definitely recommend that if it intrigues you at all. If you're watching this, it probably will, And I've been working on my book some more. It's done in most part. I'm shortlisting names pretty much. That's all I've got left to do, which I say that, but it feels pretty important and time consuming, I think, trying to make sure it's right. I've spell checked the thing like 3 times. Layout looks good, and then just need to sort out like the pre-order thing. I'll get a test print done first, and if I like it, and then if there's any changes that need to be made, then I can make them, and then I'll get onto that. But and if you haven't seen what I'm talking about with that, I'm presuming you have done. I'm watching this, you've probably seen my other stuff. So before these ones, I have done 100 of my dream paintings, visions, apparitions, and you can see them all on my website right now, but you can see some of the small ones behind there. They're everywhere. They are everywhere. Some of the small ones up there, look. So yeah, so I've been finishing that off, and that's quite a big project, but I'm looking forward to getting it out and showing you all. Should we have a look at this painting? I ended up leaving this after a little bit of work on it yesterday. I had to go tutor, but I've been sat here looking at it, and I think drastically I might have to remove all of this guy. I think it might be a better painting without him there, and for him to exist a little differently maybe. I think the space is better with it there. So that's the plan, I think. I can always paint back in if not, but and I've been thinking about this texture up here. I think it might want to be somewhere between like a cylindrical tube and brush marks. And on this table, I'll show you these lupins. So these lupins, I've been sat on the table for a bit. They are starting to droop, but so on here, I'm thinking that these flowers want to be on there, and then it'll work well with the purple that I've got coming through this shadow here, but also give a sense of size and scale to the table, and then the textural aspect of these little buds on here, like with the little marks I just mentioned. I think that might look quite cool. I want to put more of this green up here rather than it being purely yellow, and I want this figure now to be coming out of this door. I think that would be cool. And then, like I say, I'm gonna do something drastic to this guy. He's looking better. It's just, it still feels like crowded here. So that's the plan. You can see what's happened since the last video I showed you. The lupins are now on the table, and this guy is mostly being removed. So as I was painting over him and, you know, doing what I said, kind of have to carry on listening. There is a point where you know, I'm following what I think I should do, or I'm being told to do, and then somewhere along that path I might go, oh wait a minute, this is actually something. So this at the minute is actually something for me, and you see I've started reworking the guy's head. But yeah, and up there's changed the inside, that one, which I'm going to do more in a second. I was recording, you know, on my other 100 smaller, half the size of this one, paintings. I did record the full entire process of those, but with these I wanted to see if it made a difference. You know, Schrodinger's camera. I don't have any problems with them being recorded. I don't feel like I perform differently, but there is still something else watching me, isn't there, with the camera in the room. So that's why these ones aren't step by step of what I've been doing, but I still quite like sharing the major points, you know, like this with you. So that's what I'm doing at the minute, and that's why these are jump cutty. It's why these videos jump cut between large changes. I'll turn the camera around and show you. So there's two that are laying on the table, and then there's one that's just defying gravity. But they give a recontextualize the actual physical space, having something so small there, or so small in relation to everything else. It's probably about the same size as him, isn't it? But I really like what it's done. It seems to have opened this up some more as well, and you can see that you can still see parts of him there, from this far back, the colours are more accurate. It's a little bit more vibrant than what's shown up on camera, but you get a gist. This thing now has these impressionistic marks on them. I'm going to go a little bit darker on this one, but I think that's cool. I think it's very cool in relation to these other textures that are happening. This thing's going to get another layer of the paint that I made, you know, the pigment. This thing that's getting smellier by the day. It smells more and more like oil. This figure's going to go, I think, and I'm going to put someone inside that room. I think it will look better with that amount of space there and there. This guy's going to get another body, I think, but he is doing something. I do like this more so than the previous one. What else have I done? I think I might have repainted some of this since you saw, maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm going to give this guy his white skeletal figure. I think he's going to get another hand. Not the blue one, but close to. And I'm just trying to like match the vibe of this guy. See, he's mint. So yeah, the other guy previously wasn't matching him. And then whatever that figures, I just tried to paint in a gesture of someone stood, so I could try and understand what it was meant to look like, but I don't think it works. But in the next video I might say differently. We'll find out. So yeah, that's the plan. Paint the under table shadow and figure the drawing out of that guy, and then remove her person, her it, and darken this. It's been 2 days since the last video, and I've come back to it with fresh eyes, and I like the changes that I've made. Squeaky chair again, crunchy chair. Cat. The guy's looking good, so the plan is to put a shadow under him in the purpley dark blue, which will tie those two things together. I like the idea of a figure of some sort in the tiled room. Maybe it's like perched or leaning on the counter, and then I've been trying to figure out if Big Mouth Boyo wants teeth now. He might have teeth. And then give him some light hitting his face on this side, but keep this evaporated by nuke kind of feel to him. So yeah, that's the plan. I was getting battered by that guy quite a bit then. You can see how much I've taken off. It was one of them where I was painting more and more with top, and I wasn't liking what I was doing. Stopped for a second, and yeah, I think I've found something. Quite like this hand now, rather than it being the open palm. And now that I've darkened the top right hand corner, I think there's a slight imbalance between the bottom and the top. I think it might mean that the bottom left guy, needs a darker shadow. If that makes sense. I don't know whether or not he's going to get any more facial structure, but I quite like this like blasted by light body, and if his head's got that feeling to it as well. And I've also added the inside that room. There's no figure in there at the minute, but there's a light where the figure was. You can just see it, can't you? Where it stood. which I do quite like. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this guy for the minute, I think. Just give him a bit more under back. Maybe, don't know, he's looking cool. Yeah, I just think it's the balance between up here and down here now. It's just the colour balance and the density of it. The consensus was that he needed teeth, and he now has teeth. Gave his nose a little bit of a highlight on that side, and then you can see that I have started to build up this dark blue down here, and then there's the little spirit sat on there, which I quite like. So it's starting to do the thing where if I'm looking at a part isolated to the rest of it, I think there's something wrong or I want to change something. And then if I like shift the focus to the whole painting, it feels okay. Like I'm looking at this independent of the rest of it and I'm thinking that there's something wrong with it. But if I actually look at the whole thing, I think it works, I like it. And there's a few of those things happening. So I need to drop my microphone, that's what that noise was. So that's the time where I leave it for a bit. And yeah, like his head feels a bit like it's floating if I'm just looking around his head. But I actually quite like that if I think about it as well. Quite like that his head floating, or it doesn't look like it has to be grounded. So it's just my brain trying to analyse this thing. Like if you look at all the rest of these paintings, they're all, you can see, can't you, like this, the difference, all the similarities between this one over here, for instance, and this guy here. Yeah. So this is where we stay for the second, I think. Try and show you some close-ups of the way that everything looks. I put a few more layers of the paint that we made, pigment, on top of here. It's very translucent, so that's just been building up. It might take another one. You can see how wet the paint is here, where I was painting over it a few times, multiple times. This hand kind of carved into it, which I like as well. This probably going to get another coat of paint on there, but I need to wait for that to dry. What else would you like to see? I do like the way this thing's turned out. I like my favourite part, I think, is like this mark here, and this little bit here and here. It's very, yeah. The colours in there are very cool as well. Have you seen him all now? Have you seen all the close-ups of his little teeth? Yeah, there is other hand, look, that were in there. I do like that about working with the painter, not working from sketch or from a plan. I had a vague plan, and then went with it until there was a fork in the road, and then, you know, just follow the painting basically. But without doing that, you don't end up with these. I mean, even this arm thing here, where it was repainted, this bit being carved out, requires me changing so much that there's lots of paint on there to go into again. In contrast to this guy with his back, which, yeah, was straight there. think that's what makes these paintings